All right. Woo. There we are. So big time in the Dutch Hall tonight. Tuesday night. Again, back, popping these things out. How you doing, Kev?
I'm good. You?
Good. So tonight I got it's just gonna be a quiet night. We're gonna whip off a show. It's gonna be no big deal. We're gonna entertain people. We're gonna have a good time. But what I want to talk about, I don't know why, but it's been sticking in my craw. I've been trying to write this joke for like 4 years.
4 years.
About 4 years. Well, it's not like I've been doing it steady for 4 years.
Right.
It's like I've told this joke on stage twice. Like I've started to try to work this idea out on stage twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once was 4 years ago. The second time was last night.
All right.
And I don't know why, but I keep coming back to it. And so there must be something there.
Gotta be.
So I thought tonight
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fuck with it a bit. Like see if we can flush it out. And really, I don't know, I'm all tangled up here. Hold on a second.
Like a pro.
I think I made it better. Okay, so, no, whatever. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
So, I made, what is it? Was I talking about? I made
about a joke.
a joke, you know? So, like, I don't know why. I saw this lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she spoke at a conference. This is when I was still working.
Okay.
Like, so that's how long this joke thing has been in my head, right?
Percolating.
Yeah. But so we're gonna do that on the show today.
All right.
And also, I have in the description, because you're supposed to write a description for these shows.
Mm-hmm.
I put in the description. It's very hard to say today that I'm going to be celebrating a great achievement
All right.
that we haven't officially celebrated.
Sounds good.
And what was the other thing I said in the description? I think I said, we're going to give the fucking...
Robot?
I don't know.
Talking to the robot tonight?
Well, the robot will get a piece of our mind. He'll get a piece of our mind. That's for certain. I did hear a juicy story about the robot.
Nice.
But that being said, it wasn't that. It was I was going to tell our listeners that I think they're a bunch of cheap pricks.
Oh boy.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm nervous.
But that's what I said in the description.
You may or may not get there.
Which I think sounds harsh on my listeners. I wouldn't want them to think I didn't appreciate all their support, you know.
You can appreciate them and still think they're cheap.
You know. Well, they are, except for a queen, of course.
Yeah.
But the rest of them sure as fuck are.
Maybe they're taking the whole Dutch part of the Dutch Hall.
That was a bad marketing. I should have called this thing what cultures spend thrift? Like, I know a bunch of cheap ones, but I don't know ones that just spend willy-nilly.
You never really hear about that, do you?
Well, I guess if you think the Scottish are cheap, right?
They're like cheap Dutch people, aren't they?
Right. The Scottish are akin to the Dutch because they're both tight with the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go Scottish are cheap as compared to what? The English, right? The Irish.
Germans.
What's around them, you know? And so then you're thinking, well, so then maybe the Irish and the Scottish are going to be spendthrift. Maybe we got to call this thing the Irish Hall. You know?
Yeah.
Where else are we on the charts? We're in all the cheap countries. Mexico? No. Mexico doesn't. Who else? Australia? Well, the same thing. We're getting all the Dutch people.
Yeah.
It's the branding. God damn it.
Where's that giant tower?
What do you mean?
The tallest tower in the world now.
Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, I think they spend.
Oh, Abu Dhabi spends money, eh?
Live from the Abu Dhabi Hall.
Oh, so that would be the UAE.
Yes.
Yeah, live from the UAE Hall.
Right.
Yeah. Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Doesn't.
But they are spenders.
Yep. They got some bucks.
Yeah. Anyways, what about the Americans? Call it the American Hall.
Live from the... Yeah.
Americans love it. They
Pine
call
Grove,
it like
Seattle.
live from the American Hall, we are number one.
Yeah. Yeah, Pine Grove, Seattle, or
And
California.
Well, they just think we'll just say Pine Grove, Ontario, like we are, and they'll just assume it's in the United States.
That's right.
Yeah. They don't know. There's an Ontario, California.
Canada's probably just one big state in their eyes.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Yep.
The parts where they speak English might as well be America in their eyes, right?
Yep.
We don't. It's not a different country.
Nope.
But our money is hilarious.
Oh, it's colorful.
Colorful.
We're-
Yeah. Yeah, you know what's good about the colorful money? You don't fucking spend $100 when you thought you were tipping $20 or 10 or whatever. You know, fucking different colors matter, man.
Yep, it really
makes it
does.
different. I wish there were different sizes, different colors, different everything. So I don't do that ever.
Yeah, you'd think a $100 bill should be bigger than a 10.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
God damn it. Anyways,
Another problem solved right there.
people always get used to what they got. Hey, you think this shit's gonna go down?
What shit?
Like, you think the interest rates are all going to go high and crazy and stuff?
I think something's got to change.
Yeah, I think it's. I watch once in a while. I'll watch the Bloomberg stuff, where all the stock stuff's ticking everywhere.
Yeah,
and it just ticks everywhere. And the last couple of days, I'm like, it seems a little bit like this may be the time where everybody is getting ready to just like start going a little nutty on interest rates here.
Oh boy,
because curbing inflation is part of it, but also part of it is like people are selling off treasury bills really fast. I think so. It's kind of a sign they're losing faith in currency, you know.
Uh-oh.
So there's a bunch of things. I don't know. Could be nothing. Could just be a couple days, but I always kind of look at that like anytime we lived through a few like unprecedented, like life-changing world events, right? One pandemic, like almost 100 years right after another, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're like, what happened right after the last big pandemic there was the boom of the 20s, right?
Yeah, and then something bad happened in the 30s.
Yeah, and then something bad happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know when it's going to be.
Depressing.
It's just ticking. It's just ticking, you know? It seems like history's bound to repeat itself.
Especially, if you don't learn from it.
Yeah. And we haven't had the collapse of the douchebags yet. I would love to see like a big like...
Sounds like a good movie.
Oh, the collapse of the douchebags? I would watch that.
Yep.
But that... Oh, wait, what?
Great band name.
Collapse of the douchebags? Yeah. That is a good name for a band. Yeah, Collapse of the Douchebags. It really paints a picture, of like a bag of vinegar and water. It just can't hold the liquid anymore.
Yeah, scars on my tongue.
We got to get this show started, Kevin.
Yeah.
But we do that in one way, and I don't control that button. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, and welcome to the Dutch Hall. I'm your host, Pete Van Dyke. I forgot there for a minute. And we are live in Pine Grove in the pool shed, bringing you the funniest podcast ever to come out of a small patch of ground in the little corner of the subdivision of Pine Grove.
Mm-hmm.
Bar none.
Bar none.
Bar none. And that's because we got Kevin Van Dungeon, who's right there beside me. Give him a round of applause, everybody. I used to give that praise because it was to a band and a whole bunch of people. You have taken the place of all of them, Kev.
It's downsizing.
Yeah. It's downsizing. We're running as a tight ship here now. We're not running a bunch of fucking lollygaggers that are playing the odd chord here and there on an acoustic guitar or doing whatever they pretended to do. Right, Charters?
Mm-hmm.
And but You are actually pulling your weight. You're clicking buttons.
That's what I do.
Yeah, and you're also talking on microphones.
Here and there.
And you show up every week.
Yes.
It's really a help. And then so that is two of the people.
Mm-hmm.
We must probably discuss or introduce our mustachioed friend who is built in effigy of my true friend Dave Charters, but he's a cheap and cold-eyed replacement. Ladies and gentlemen, Robot Dave.
Thanks a lot, Pete.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I do have a story to tell about you later, but I want to continue on with our introductions because we do have one more guest who's sitting in the weird chair that needs to be taken to the dump. And it's very exposed as all the pleather as peeled off of it over the years of all the guests. But today, this guest has been mentioned on many programs.
Important.
It has been sometimes some of our guests will say is their favorite part of the show. It's what they look forward to when they come back. If it's not here, we've had people, make a point of letting my wife know that this person, or whatever, this
Entity.
must rejoin the show.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever on a microphone, Dutch All Meat Tray. Now, I understand that, Dutch All Meat Tray, you are an inanimate object.
Nothing to say.
Well, and I do think that perhaps the microphone may have been a bit unnecessary.
That's so true.
Good thing we didn't go through the trouble of the headphones, Kev.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'll tell you, you are a legend, and we do appreciate you having you on the show. I will be referring to Dutch All Meat Tray from time to time for its opinion. Maybe get a one-shot on it. When there's a moment of drama, just cut to the meat tray.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and it'd just be stoic, just sitting there. Fearless.
Just staring you in the eyes with this
Cold
what do you
olive
call
eyes.
Yeah, what do you-
those
pimento.
Yeah.
With his pimento pupils. Yeah, that is a delicious meat tray, though.
God damn right.
Yeah,
And look, it's picked over already, too.
yeah, that is picked over. That's already been nibbled at. We haven't even earned it yet, but we've been picking at it because it's so delicious. Anyways, when you get meat, pickles, cheese, cracker, what more do you need? I'll tell you what you get. A little olive on the side just for a little treat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was some lettuce on it earlier.
Yeah, it turns out I was thinking, oh, Jay made lettuce wraps for us.
Yep.
So I started taking the lettuce off of the meat tray and started putting the meat on it. And because I had this awesome Korean chicken that I put in a lettuce wrap today, left over from my gig last night.
Yeah.
Because Poacher's Arms in London is owned by this, or I don't know if it's owned, but it's run by this guy, Jin, who's a Korean guy. And they started making Korean fried chicken there. It's dynamite. It's the best thing ever.
Delicious.
And so I was using leftovers in lettuce wrap, and I thought that was what it was on the meat tray today. And it turns out it wasn't. There was no chicken, but there was this stuff, the regular. So I filled it up in the lettuce wrap, and then Jane said it was to be thrown into the forest.
Ah.
It was garbage that I was eating. It was like a billy goat.
You made it good, though.
It still tasted fine.
Yeah.
I think she's like being a little too generous to the forest animals.
Maybe that's why the jackrabbits are so jacked out there.
Maybe. She said she was raped by a squash plant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think she drinks too much?
I don't think she drinks too much. I just think that squash plant, he's been teased all summer by her walking back and forth.
Oh, you think that's what it was, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been just teasing him so much. And he's only flesh and
some kind of being.
Tissue of some sort. He's only like,
Just wanted to wrap his leaves around her and maybe trip her up, hopefully, for his sake.
Well, I was thinking what he wanted to do was kind of like just use the kind of the stickiness of his leaves, like little gripping hands, just to bring her close.
Yeah.
And then once he got her close enough, he would just shove his huge cock in her.
Whoa. Butternut squash.
Butternut cock.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes it's fun just to say something dirty out of nowhere. Yesterday, I actually was trying to tell a joke to this young, sweet couple. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that's not nice.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's not nice to put a young couple that is like full of innocence and love and all that stuff, like just freshly kind of like out of the parents' house, you know?
Yeah. Sleep.
And I'm going to tell him a filthy joke like I was going to tell him. Mm-hmm. So I had to bail on it. I was just like, I'm not going to tell you that. I feel bad about it. I don't think you deserve it.
No.
That's what I said. So I told him a different joke. And tonight, we have to go back to the old joke.
The 4-year-old joke.
The 4-year-old joke. But before that, I want to tell you about my, I went to Pumpkin Fest, Waterford Pumpkin Fest.
Ooh.
Which is a festival in the town I grew up in. And my friend Dave also grew up in the town of Waterford.
Yeah.
And every year they have a festival to celebrate pumpkins.
I've even been to it.
Yeah, have you? Yeah. This was one of the best ones. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Oh, post-COVID Pumpkin Fest.
Yeah, I think they did it right this year. They had instead of having the bands, but you know they used to have the bands in the arena and the parking lot.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't put it there this year. They put it in the baseball outfield.
Oh, in the diamonds.
Yeah, and then in the infield, they put the beer tent.
That's a smart move,
right?
Yeah.
And then over at like A to B Massacre,
the school. That's
where all the fireworks are set up.
Do they still have a big play park there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but I do remember one time because in grade school,
yeah,
we got to go to that play park.
It was awesome.
Because it was awesome for its day.
Yeah.
And our play park kind of was just like
monkey bars,
swings, and teeter-totters or something like that, you know? Wasn't anything, maybe a slide or two.
Yeah.
This had fucking whole bunch of shit. Like
it was 20th century.
Yeah, you could do like a whole bunch of shit, right? So we would actually, the Catholic school kids would go there like as an outing.
A field trip.
Just to use their playground equipment. Anyways, I remember I went there one time. I got off the bus, and my sister, for some reason, had told her friend that I had an operation on my penis. Right?
Wow. Like an extension or something?
No.
No idea.
No, they weren't specific. They just said, hey, Pete, your sister tells me you had an operation on your penis. That's how I remember it going down. And is that true? And then I said, yeah.
He went with it.
No, I did.
Oh, you did have an operation.
It's called a hydrocell.
Oh.
Hey? You ever heard of that?
No.
You ever heard of a hernia? You know that sometimes that's on your penis, isn't it? Or like you have to go into balls to get it or something?
I had 2.
Did they have to go in the balls? But you can have it in your stomach too, right?
Yeah, it was like it was above the penis.
Well, anyways, this thing's not exactly like a hernia, but it's kind of like a hernia.
Yeah.
I don't really get it anyways. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not smart.
All right.
When it comes to any of this stuff, I'm going to explain it to you anyway. Dutch Hall facts here.
All right.
I think a hydrocell, like what I had, I think it was 2 when this happened. Mm-hmm. I think the fluid is supposed to run through a certain part, but it doesn't run through. It kind of bursts through or something, and then you get a buildup of fluid in your sac, in your scrotum. So that you'll have so I think I just had a huge nut sack.
Right.
And then they had to do surgery to like drain it or something.
Couldn't poke it with a pin or nothing
or
like that.
Or fix I don't know. But whatever it was, I was like 2 or 3 or something. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember much of it other than I think I got a creamsicle when I woke up.
Did it give you a good scar?
I have a scar, but it's hard to see now because of the massive gross hair. But they put it in a crease. They put it in a crease of like a natural fold.
Yeah.
So like it's not real obvious, but I do have a scar that's pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'd have to be.
Oh yeah, drain that sack.
Yeah.
But I think I think it's kind of like if you, it's left, what it's done is it's like if you took let's say you had like a nice T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
And then you just like tried to like put all of your clothes into that T-shirt,
right?
And then afterwards, your T-shirt didn't fit right anymore.
Oh,
that's kind of like my balls.
Yeah,
my sack doesn't fit right anymore. When you took all the
clothes out, it was stretched out a little.
Yeah.
So the fluid stretched out your sack.
I think when I was 2 or something, and that's why I'm like a flying squirrel now. I got a lot of extra skin. I don't know about it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's alarming.
So if you jumped off a cliff, you'd be just drop your pants and you'd be safe.
That's my move.
Yeah.
I would just hold. Oh no, I wouldn't. I would take off my pants before I jumped off the cliff.
Under panties and everything.
Yeah, I'd go. If I'm going to be flying squirrel in it, you got to have nothing. Yeah. You got to be bare ball in it, and then you are jumping off the cliff with holding your scrotum.
Oh, you'd have been good in that movie Waiting.
Huh?
See that movie Waiting?
With Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
No, I've seen the poster on all the like on all the Netflix and all that stuff. Like I've seen but I've never ever watched it.
Part of that movie where they show each other their dick and balls, and you get to kick a guy in the ass if he looks.
Ugh.
You'd be set.
How do you not look though?
Oh, you just got to surprise the guy, right?
What?
You got to surprise the guy. Like in the movie, they would surprise each other with have their dick and balls out.
Oh, and then you're not supposed to look, but
look.
You fake to make the guy look. See, I end up always looking.
Yeah.
And I thought about this even today. I was like, is this something I should feel ashamed about? Like that I look at balls?
No.
Or not look at balls, but I would look at dicks.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. There's nothing sexual about this. It started with the Olympics.
Okay.
Our Canadian Olympic sprinter, what's his name? Andre DeGrasse?
I don't know who he is, but is he packing?
He won the 200-meter gold medal.
Yeah.
Right? But he was supposed to be the 100-meter gold medal. He was our hope, He's the one that went toe-to-toe with Usain Bolt, Mm-hmm. There's a lot of drama tied up in this kid. Like, I was watching, but this year for the Olympics, they gave the fucking men these shorts, like, as part of their uniform. It didn't leave much to the imagination.
Okay.
And when you're showing the sprinters,
mm-hmm.
they show them in slow motion and shit. And so you see this guy going down the, 200-meter thing, and his fucking wang is just, flopping side to side, fucking flopping. And you're like, that's our Canadian guy. You're like, way to go, buddy. You got a huge hog there. But it's like a nod to him, It's like I see a guy with a big hog, and it's just kind of like a tip of that cap to him, way to go, buddy. That's
You're packing.
Yeah, I'm just like happy for him, like you're running a race, one of the most important races of your life.
Yeah.
In the heat of sports, the tendency for your cock is to just hide like an egg in a nest, Shrivel up. That's what it's supposed to do.
Not this guy.
It probably was doing that.
Oh, my God.
And that's what he had left. That's what I'm talking about. Like, this guy's either cool as a cucumber where it's not shriveling up.
Or he's really packing.
Or this thing's just so gargantuan. That is him trying to protect it. Either way, Bravo. Way to go. I'm proud Canadian. But that's what I mean about looking at a dick. If you're like, if a guy, because I don't see nudity at all, So this goes for guy, girl, whatever, old, young, attractive, unattractive, all shapes and sizes, whatever you see.
Mm-hmm.
If a person is naked,
you're looking.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a peculiarity. It's something you don't see all the time. So you're drawn to it like a moth to the flame, Yeah. It's like looking at a train wreck.
You're a curious boy, too.
Yeah, I'm curious. I like the story.
Yeah.
That's why I had a fucking 20-minute conversation with a homeless guy last night.
How'd that go?
I told you earlier it was like nonsense. It was complete nonsense. I enjoyed every minute of it. It didn't make any sense at all. But I enjoy. Sometimes you can have really good conversations with homeless people, because their stories are interesting and they've generally been through some stuff, right?
Sometimes nonsensical.
But sometimes they're there as a result of like serious mental problems, and they can't communicate eloquently.
It's a nice way of saying.
Yeah, so you just have to like. So this guy would be like not. He would be saying stuff, but it didn't make any sense. There was no coherent point at all. But you knew where the ending was, so
right.
He'd go like, and that's. And it goes around again and around again, and that's what we got to do about it, you know. And then I'll be like, "Fucking right, man." You know what I mean?
Just to keep it going.
Yeah, and then he'd go on again and talk like that. And I just like the rhythm of it because you knew when it was my turn to pitch in, and it seemed to really please him. Like he would kept going on. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this guy asked me for a light. So we could light the roach. And then we had this like long conversation. And I start to notice as we're having the conversation that in his hand the whole time he's talking
was his lighter.
It was in his hand. He borrowed the whole reason I'm talking to him in the first place is because he borrowed my lighter.
Right.
He had a working lighter in his hand the whole time because I saw him use it later again.
That's how you keep your lighter longer.
I guess so. Use mine. I'm the sucker here, aren't I, Kev?
Who's the smart one?
Goddamn homeless guy's smart, isn't he?
Fucking showed you.
He lives the life.
Yep.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I think we might be wrong on this one. I think he kind of fucked something up.
Yeah. I think you're probably doing better.
Anyways, cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
So what was this? We were talking. I was on.
We were talking about Pumpkin Fest earlier.
Pumpkin Fest. That's right. So we go to Pumpkin Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Great setup.
Yeah.
Meet this old lady.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
This old lady, she says that she used to live on College Street in Waterford.
Where?
College Street, Dave. Didn't you live on College Street?
It sure is.
Oh, that's where you grew up then. You grew up on College Street.
Yes.
Is that right?
It sure is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, this lady, she said to me that, she says, I remember when I lived on College Street, she's a lot older than you. Mm-hmm. She said that she remembers that there was this kid in the neighborhood who used to always dig a hole in her snowbanks in her backyard and then take a shit in the snowbanks. And she said to me that if she ever got her hands on that husky fucker, she would choke him right down.
In the primary grades, I was known as Husky.
Well, then you fit the description, my friend. I think that might have been you taking an old coiler in her backyard. Is that possible?
Oh, that's fantastic.
This is a proud moment for you, I see. I don't know, whatever.
It sure is.
Okay.
Wow.
Well.
What an arrogant puppet.
Yeah.
Sorry, not puppet, robot.
Yeah, come on. Show him some respect. He's no puppet.
No.
Puppet's up there.
Yeah.
Who's fucking useless unless someone shoves his hand up his ass.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the robot would mind that either.
I don't like the way he's looking at me, to be quite honest with you.
No.
He's just staring at me with dead eyes. I wonder if I can get him to fucking work this.
I'm going to make him a mouth breather, too.
What?
I'm turning him into a mouth breather.
Yeah. He's fucking creepy. Anyways, this is a joke. Okay. You know what this joke is? Oh, yeah, he's fucking not looking at me anymore. This joke is, okay, it's basically, it's just information. There's no joke to it.
Right.
And bugs me. But the idea of it is what I think is going to be good because it's, I can make fun of everybody because you're not doing it by any of the boxes that people get upset about.
Okay.
You do it by generation, right?
Yep.
And then because I saw like this lady speak about generational differences and how everyone acts different if you're from this generation versus this one, right?
Okay.
And then I started. So I saw that lady speak; she was really good. And then it just always stayed in the back of my mind, you know. Mm-hmm. And now that there's Zoomers, Zoomers, they're calling them Zoomers now. Gen Zs.
Is that us?
No, we're X.
Oh.
So like we're Gen X, your kid would be Gen Z.
Oh, so can I say okay Zoomer to him?
Yeah, he's a Zoomer.
Oh.
So they were called Zs because like for some reason we were X. And then there was Y, which became the millennials, and then Z is now they're calling them Zoomers because they were the ones that used Zoom through the pandemic.
That's lame.
Right? I know. But they're probably going to be the people that don't know how to interact with people. Like the one generation that doesn't know how to interact with people.
Don't even know how to shake a hand.
But the one thing I know about the Zoomers for sure is that no one's going to give a fuck about them. Because every other generation, they don't give a fuck about.
That's right.
So the millennials, they give a fuck about. Because millennials, they give a fuck way too much of a fuck about. They were the kids that had like the first ones that learned how to use the internet, and then they were like 11 or 12, and they would put a comment on the internet, and it would be on the news.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'd be like, "Hey, I'm fucking as important as any." And then the baby boomers who were like who were making the news didn't know how the internet worked.
Yeah.
So they just treated them like they had as much weight as everyone else. So they actually grew up thinking that everything they said was
important and mattered.
Yeah. And then there was the Gen Xers, us. They didn't even name us.
No.
We didn't even get a name. We kept the placeholder one, and they didn't give a fuck.
And we were like halfway into computers and not like I remember not. Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, we made it. We invented it, but we didn't get the benefit of it. Like. No. We kind of made all the cool stuff, and then the millennials got to utilize it to the benefit. Yeah. And the same with the silent generation, because before us, the Gen Xers was the baby boomers, and the baby boomers, same thing, were treated as really a big deal and important because there's so many of them, and they just got promoted for just being there. Yep. And they couldn't help but succeed. It was just unprecedented growth. So these people are kind of delusional on how things work, and they are, and the people before them were the ones that kind of made the bed for that success.
Yeah,
and they were called the silent generation.
Strong but silent type.
Yeah, because they were told by their parents, "Shut up and don't argue." They were the only generation not to protest anything. They just went along with everything because their parents had been through the depression and the world wars, and they were everything could be gone tomorrow, so just be lucky. You're just lucky to have what you have, so shut up.
So these guys were the ones that probably fought in World War II?
The silent generation?
Yeah.
No, the greatest generation fought in World War II.
Oh.
And
the boomers came from them.
The silent generation was kind of born. Some of them were born in World War II, where they were kids. Okay. They were too young to fight in World War II yet.
Gotcha.
That's the silent generation, and that they would be the people who started the civil rights movement. Mm-hmm. But then the baby boomers were the ones that were kind of known for the civil rights movement, but they were the followers. The leaders were the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's. They were people from that silent generation, and also rock and roll came from the silent generation.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know it doesn't make any sense. And then, but the baby boomers consumed it, right?
Right.
Same thing, in the 90s, kind of music was good again because nobody gave a fuck. The people that they don't give a fuck about make good music.
Yeah.
So Zoomers should make good music. So silent, and before silent was the greatest, well, if they're not special, then who is? Because they're called the greatest. And the one before that was called the lost. And then before that, there was no naming of generations.
Nobody cared.
No, because everyone's life was just miserable existence.
Yeah.
They didn't. There was no difference.
60 was a long life.
Yeah, they just begging to die from the time they're born because it's so hard. Mm-hmm. But then, since they started naming generations, they've named everyone but us.
Yeah.
Right. And I think still we're the coolest.
I think so too.
We every generation has good and bad,
So what's X 70s to
65 to
85?
80?
Oh yeah.
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 65 to 80 is kind of Gen X.
Yeah. No helmet, still drinking from the hose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gen Xers are the last ones to be truly traumatized.
Yeah.
Like we're the last ones to be beat up, the last ones to be like abused verbally and physically.
Sure.
The last ones to grow up in a really truly violent culture, which sounds like, good, you're the last ones or whatever. But when you're the last ones, then you have a comparison to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And so, like, where you and I, Kev, and other Gen Xers will say, like, I never got beat up by my parents unless I deserved it, you know?
Yeah.
And you'll be like, you kind of wear it like a little bit of a badge of honor, that you're like, yeah, I can take a punch,
From my dad. When he's had too much to drink with his belt.
Yeah, like or something like that. Just like, I shouldn't have been standing so close to the TV.
Yeah. Should have got his beer faster.
But whatever, like those kind of stories, or you're like grandma hitting you with a wooden spoon. I mean, people tell it with like kind of like
it's just how it was.
A wistful glee. Like they're just like they tell it like nostalgia.
Yeah.
And when you say that like to your kids, you're like, yeah, and then my grandma beat me with a wooden spoon for touching her curtains, and
I looked in the fridge and I got hit with a comb.
Yeah, and they'll be like, did you tell your therapist about this? Like, that's the trauma. I'm like, what? That's not trauma. That's like
that's
nothing. That was just like goofing around with your grandma.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a different time, And when you have the comparison, then like, oh wait, it might have been pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Like if it just continued to do that, if you continued to like just like strangers could just hit kids and all that stuff on the streets.
Yep.
If they saw a kid out of line, you could just go over and cuff the kid.
Give him a smack because his mom's cans were full of groceries.
Yeah. Don't worry, ma'am. I got this. Ma'am. That would be, then we wouldn't notice when it happened to us. We wouldn't even be telling that story because it would just be like generally accepted that happened to everybody.
Yeah, being a shithead, I had it.
It's once somebody said, I'm going to stop doing this, which was us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we were like, how about we don't? Maybe we won't do that anymore. Yeah. I think the baby boomers actually considered not beating their kids.
Yeah.
Like that's when the idea got started. The greatest generation, I think, pretty much was just like, that's ridiculous.
I'll break a bottle over my kid's head.
We are going to beat our kids. We're not a bad I'm not a bad person. I'm going to beat my kids to keep them good.
Yeah, I just had a bad day at work. I'm not a bad person.
No, it's a child. They don't matter yet.
No. They don't remember.
Yeah, whatever. They don't have feelings like a fish.
Yep.
So that's the greatest generation.
Yeah.
We can say whatever we want about them because they're all dead.
That's right.
Is any of them still alive? Probably some of them are still alive.
I can't imagine too many are.
Not too many.
That'd be like my dad's gang.
What year was your dad born in?
24, 25.
Man, that's crazy. So here's
27.
You're like approaching his 100th birthday, man.
Yeah.
Let me just see here. I have a chart here. Okay, so the greatest generation was born 1910 to 1924.
Ah, shit. I think he was 27.
He'd be the silent generation.
He was quiet.
They're the kind of the coolest. Silent generations with the Zoomers and the Gen Xers. They're like the kind of losers. The lost generation, they just got that quote because somebody said they're going to be called the lost generation because they disposed of them all in the First World War, in the Great War, like.
Name making was so much different.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And a lot of times history names you, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if they're calling them that then.
No.
But so the best things, my theory is the best things come out of the generations that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
That's when the great strides. Like, I think that the Gen Xers kind of came up with the whole internet thing and the technological revolution, and I think that the Ys kind of rode the wave. And I think that the same's going to be true about Z. I think I have hope for them.
Yeah.
To really, granted, these are my kids too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you hope for your kids, always the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I hope for this generation to like see the world differently.
Yeah.
To really like create some sort of a fork in the road for like humanity and do something like different, like where they're just not going to just fall in line.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you got every one of these generations do the same fucking thing, which is like they're all in college and they're cool, you know? And then they turn into old people and they suck.
Yeah, cranky old bastards.
The hippies are the same people who are the boomers that everyone hates.
Yeah.
You know, but everyone loved the hippies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They were all peace, love, and all that shit. Mm-hmm. And then they go to be the, now, like in the 70s, those same fucking hippies were like the ones drinking gin and tonics for lunch and fucking their secretaries.
Oh, yeah, madmen.
Yeah, like that's the same fucking hit, like the same generation as the same hippies. And like, once you get money, and once you get assets and money and time, enough time passes and they become worth more and you've generated a bit of wealth, you lose all of
your cool goes away.
Yeah, once responsibility comes into play, and you're not really worried about all the more finer points of life. You know, you're not thinking about like fucking if you're being represented or not. You know, you're just thinking about like, can I make rent? Yeah. Where am I gonna eat?
Pay off that home.
Yeah, like so. Like once you get into real life, all that shit, all your ideals kind of become secondary to just figuring out how to survive.
Right.
When you're still living off mom and dad, going to college and whatever, you can have all the ideas and changing the world you want. Right.
Yeah.
So every generation, when they're young and in college, seems pretty cool, and they seem like they're going to move the ball forward and make the world a better place and all that shit.
Yeah.
But realistically.
Yeah, they're buying. Next thing you know, they're buying lottery tickets, hoping for a win.
Yeah, they're doing. Yeah. They're going to end up being shitty, like everyone else. Yeah. It's just, like we were like we were like, I like our former protest. Gen Xers' former protest was like the anonymous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was more like internet hacking. It was more like, but there was a bit of a sense of humor to it when it started. Remember, people would like send pizzas to like companies and make them pay for the pizza.
Yeah.
Like it would just keep ordering pizzas, just little things like that to disrupt a company. It was like a really like it seemed like a harmless and yet effective form of like social unrest that we were able to cause anonymously. You know, as our generation. And I think that's pretty cool. But then we also made, 40-year-old virgins who live in their parents' basement and never leave the computer, Yeah. That was also what we made.
Responsible for that too,
yeah. Yeah.
That just sit and hack on, or like troll.
Trolls, yeah. So like we made both, so like the good and the bad. Like it's not all Eddie Vedders out there, like there's also like just some fat slob who's like saying that the Golden Girls suck or whatever,
and just getting people upset.
Yeah.
Betty White's a whore.
Yeah. Betty White's a whore. That's a good name for the episode.
Okay.
Betty White's a whore. It's on the short list, Kev.
All right.
Betty White's a whore. I don't know if you can even say that. Can we advertise an episode as Betty White's a whore?
It's probably not a good idea.
Maybe not. I think it's got some cliche. Maybe it would imagine getting the
maybe we're trolling
angry eyes of Betty White on our program.
We're trolling the audience, right?
Yeah, that could be a real pop for us.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I think Chappelle did with his special.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I'll tell you. I don't know if we talked about this last week on the show or not, but it was a really great experience because I have the social justice warrior daughter, and I says, "Oh, Chappelle's got a new special. I can't wait to see it." And she's like, "It's really controversial, Dad. Like he's really getting lamb-based online, and he's really anti-trans, and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, well, you want to watch it?" And she's like, "Well, then she starts reading the articles, out loud to me about what was said. And I'm like, great, this is great. I know that side of the story now.
Mm-hmm.
You want to watch it? And she's like, she was kind of struggling because her information that she was getting was telling her this guy's doing really bad things.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't support his bad things,
Okay.
Netflix shouldn't support him. Everyone shouldn't support him.
Mm-hmm.
So why she's like, I don't know if I should watch it,
Right.
So I was like, I'm watching it. I think you should watch it, right? And so she starts watching it with me, and he refers to himself as a transphobic comic, right? Which they quote in the article.
Mm-hmm.
Articles about, they call him a transphobic comic. So they label him as a transphobic comic.
Yeah.
He just goes with the label. He goes with the label, right? I don't think he really believes the label.
No.
I think it's clear, if you listen to the rest of what he's saying, that the label's kind of tongue-in-cheek, that he's just kind of like poking fun, calling himself a transphobic comic, and then he points out a bunch of evidence to show that he supports trans people individually based on their own merits or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and that his issues are more to do with the group and their protesting methods or their way that they police the atrocities committed against them,
right?
Or classify them or whatever.
Sure.
And he a lot of times compares the black struggle to the trans struggle and stuff like that, which may or may not be a fair thing to do. But either way, it's a subject matter he's covered in past specials.
Right.
It's got him in trouble in past specials. He has every bit of a skill set to stay clear of the subject matter should he choose to.
He just digs in.
But he decided to choose it again and go for it again,
mm-hmm.
And then you realize he's playing it like an instrument of its time, like it's like he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
If any one of the people, and there was even a comedian last night who at the open mic that was like try to bid on this, but you could tell, I'm like, not sure if she saw the special, because if you watch the special, it's clearly not anti-trans.
Right.
It's clearly not anti-trans. But if you don't listen to the special and you just read the controversy, he's like the worst. He's like the Hitler for trans people, like he's the worst of trans people because he's done all these terrible things. But my daughter was watching the special and he calls himself the transphobic comic, and she goes, is that why they call him a transphobic comic? Because he said that, that way? Because she heard the way he said it in the context in which it was said, and she's already starting to say, like you can see, like, this might be a crock of shit.
Yeah.
And then the longer you go into it, like I said, I still have to, she had to leave, so she didn't get to watch the end, but I was like, you have to watch the end, because you will not share the opinion. If anyone watches it, they're not going to believe any of that shit, But it's set up that if you create enough of a stink about it,
mm-hmm.
that those people who just buy the stink will feel obligated not to support it, right?
Yeah.
If you did support it and knew what you were talking about before you commented on it, you would know that it's not what they are saying it is, but how are you to know, eh?
Yeah.
How are you to know?
It's like a clickbaity headline.
Yeah, it creates such division, like there's just people that are open to it as an idea. Like, it's so controversial now. Like, great, it's good for listens, right?
Yeah.
But you can't say, is it good for the right kind of listens?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the trans getting him a whole bunch of views from comedy fans, or is it getting him views from Is it getting him views from? Is it getting him views from like curious people who are just want to see what the fuss is about?
Right.
Or is it getting people the views from people who hate him, or is it getting views from people who are anti-trans, hateful people themselves? Like they're homophobic people who are saying, hey, this guy gets
guy.
it, which isn't what he wants either, It's not all. It's not always a person as a person as a person. You know, like if the message is getting misconstrued, then you could still be saying the right thing and doing damage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's maybe like that Howard Stern, like from the movie where they're like, you know, people who like you listen for 20, people who hate you listen for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know,
like he sells. If the object is to have people interested, like it works. He sells. Is he communicating the message that he wants to? Who knows? You know. Yeah. But it's working. I mean, like he's provocative. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about it. Like it's thought provoking. It's challenging. It's all the rest of it. It's what great art should be.
Yeah.
You know. He really is good at what he does. He's the only comedian that I really he says things about being the best, like about being the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And he's not fucking joking.
No.
Like he's not like doing it like Judah Freelander or something like that, you know, like who's like he's obviously kind of like full of shit, right?
Yeah.
Whereas he does it and he's like, I think for sure I am.
Might be.
And you're like, you can't argue with him, and it's like earned bravado. It's pretty fucking balls, man.
Yeah.
It's like that Ric Flair kind of confidence, where you call your shot and do it.
Yep.
Man, wouldn't you like that, Kev? Is that how you are in the bedroom with your wife?
Oh, of course.
Yeah?
No.
No, not even that? How long have you been married for?
15 years.
15 years. And were you dating a long time before?
Yeah, like almost 10.
Almost 10, really?
I would say, yeah.
So you've really been not this girl for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you still can't go in there with the assuredness that you know what you're doing?
No, of course not.
Is it because she changed the game, or is it because you just never really had the skill set?
Never had it.
Never had it?
No, just a bumbling fool.
Just happy to get... Now, did you have women before her?
Yeah.
And never really had a moment where you felt like you had the hang of it?
Yeah, like if it was a boat going through the water, there'd be like a wake of disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like fall, like there's good parts, and then just the sad part always follows. Yeah, I get that. I don't...
if we're telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I've... my early experiences, especially with girls, I usually ended every night with "I'm sorry."
As long as it's not crying.
Yeah, it's just I apologize for everything, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Shrug of the shoulders, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Sometimes it just goes off like that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. No, the best was when all of a sudden, when I was real young, and you'd be dating a girl, and I think this was actually my wife. And you're like making out, and it's getting hot and heavy. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little like dry humping or something like that when you're young, and just like you're just horny. And all of a sudden,
whoopsie doodles. Now I've created a problem. I've created a laundry issue. and right away I'm Mr. Gentleman. Yeah.
Okay? I think we're taking this a little too fast.
Yeah, we should slow down.
I think we need to slow this thing down, and we just need to think about, you know what? Take it slow. We're building something special here.
Yep. Good foundation.
Now, I don't know. If you could just look the other way while I waddle to my car. You'll never know.
Yeah.
She actually didn't know. I would just be so gentlemanly. I did. Oh, I remember I did to another girl one time too. Same thing. It was just like, we're going too fast.
Yeah.
I'll drive you home. That was in a parking lot.
Yeah.
And then you just like have to pretend it didn't happen.
We're not going to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's humiliating. Because like young girls don't know how boys' equipment works either.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're not like comfortable
at
that age to just be like, hey, you know what? Sometimes these things
just misfired.
Yeah, are just temperamental. They just have a mind of their own.
Yep.
And
it is great when you got control. Finally, do get control over it though, and figure it out for yourself.
Oh yeah. An old man dick, an old man dick is, it's not the best, but it's not the worst.
Nope.
There could be worse things. To be honest, I like my old man dick. It's the best. It's the most problematic dick I've ever had, but it's also the one that I'm kind of the most impressed by.
Mm-hmm.
It is the most impressive dick I've ever had. It's really gravity does tug on that fucker over years. Eh?
Yeah.
It just seems a lot more impressive, and I just think it loses some of its in and out elasticity.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't shrivel up and it's just hanging out all the time. It just fucking doesn't care.
Yeah.
And that to me is a quality I like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to get in a fucking sword fight anytime soon.
Why would you?
I don't do that anymore.
Nope.
So I don't need it to do that stuff. Just stay nice and big and give me some time to thumb it in once in a while and I'll be good.
Yeah.
That's all you need. Well, we didn't do feedback.
Oh.
We didn't do it. We didn't lambaste our listeners for not providing us with any Patreon support, not even $5 a month, which is only results in $60 in a whole calendar year.
For what you just heard.
For 52 episodes.
Yep.
Plus bonus features.
Mm-hmm.
Plus gifts.
Gifts.
Yeah, gifts.
Nice.
I'm just starting with the gift package for our queen. She's going to get a nice magnet. It says I Heart Dick Jokes on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even going to announce the next treat.
I wouldn't.
But very close. I got a nice treat for our queen who really can order whatever she wants. She can make demands of us.
Mm-hmm.
She can really much make or break the show.
Yeah.
For all you guys know, if you're listening at this point in time and you're like, why was that show so terrible? It's because she told us to do that. That's what she told us to do. This is what she likes. And so we give our queen what she wants.
That's part of being queen. You get to bear the burden of a bad show here or there.
Right. But we didn't do that on this episode. We did not give our listeners any grief for being cheap fuckers who don't support our Patreon, which is the reason why we only have one Patreon supporter. One! God damn it. I was watching a podcast today, which I watch a lot of, and I always watch, I'm like, you know what? Content-wise, I think not every show, but a lot of shows I'd say we keep up with that content.
Yep.
Production-wise, okay, not every show, but I can do that from time to time, keep up with the production value of that.
Sure.
And then I'm and then at the end, they show their Patreon supporters, and it's like credits from a movie. It's just flowing up. They always give a shout-out to people who support their Patreon.
They have more than one?
More than one. It was every episode, they get a new couple pages that scroll up like the credits of a movie. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's a miraculous,
So you'd make that. We'd give shout-outs to somebody other than our queen if we had more Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
That's part of the package. It tells you all the little things you get.
Oh.
You get a shout-out. For sure you do. I mean, you become basically
A showrunner.
Yeah, we're your bitch at that point in time. Now, if we get pages like that, well, then it's no, you're lucky to have us. We're big deals.
Yeah.
F off.
All that shit stopped.
'Cause
We just go back to the queen calling the shots.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But even her, she's going to lose some power. Because we can lose her, right? We got tons of them.
That's true.
Right? At that point in time, we start getting drunk with our own power.
Yeah.
We start drinking our own Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
We start thinking we're pretty tough shit. We're a big deal.
Yeah.
We walk around. We expect special treatment. We treat people like less than us.
And then we're done.
Then we know we made it.
That's right.
Once we become hateable to every single person that comes into contact with us,
we
know we hit the big time, Kevin.
Yep. Making hundreds.
Do you really think if let's say this is this is nothing that I really believe in.
Okay.
But let's say the show all of a sudden became an international success, and for some reason we're like the Beatles, me and you, Kev.
Right.
We're going around. We're just everywhere we go, we're doing live podcasts, and people are going bananas to see us. We are fucking famous.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're getting they give us just shoe boxes full of money at the end of every day.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know what to do with it all, and Now, are you going to change?
Yeah.
How so, do you think?
I'll just become a dick.
Really?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think I'm going to say no, but I would say you'd have to change a little bit.
Yeah, you might change a little bit, but it'd be different if you were 20. If you were 20 and it happened to you, you have no chance. You're right.
Yeah.
You're gonna get fucked up. You can't have that. But now that we're like pushing 50,
Yeah, I would say I'd be constantly wondering when this is going to crash into the ground.
yeah, like we just know that this is just a blip. You know
Yeah.
that this is just we can see it. It's it's gonna be a temporary thing.
Yeah.
Just ride it out and enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Wonder what's wrong with these people handing us all this money.
yeah, like we're gonna know this is something's fishy here.
Yeah.
And so, I think that we would not see it as a permanent thing, and that's why I don't think we'd have the time to change.
No.
But I do think we would do things. There would be certain things we would do that we wouldn't do under our current situation. Like
Yeah.
just probably like more spendthrift things,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit probably more just foolish wastes of money.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Buying dumb things.
Yeah. And I'd like to blow stuff up. Maybe that's
Mhm.
kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd probably start blowing stuff up,
Crashing things.
crashing things.
Yep.
Because that might be a real thing you could do.
Just crash something?
Yeah, if you do a YouTube channel where you just blow shit up and you just like crash shit,
Yeah.
and then you show slow motion of it being blown up or crashed.
Yeah, and just how happy you are watching it blow up and crash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something about it, eh?
Mm-hmm.
There's something about it. I know my buddy Dave. We went to this thing called the Animal Olympics. Me and Dave did
Mm-hmm. Porwell?
in Port Burwell, yeah. And there's all these people that are in campsites, right? So we're walking around. We're drinking. We're drinking cans of Bud Light,
Mm-hmm.
and Dave just thinks it's hilarious. He's walking past this guy's campfire and just drops a full can of Bud Light in the campfire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not unopened. Yeah, it's like we just keep walking, and then all of a sudden you hear a loud hiss, and then a big pop where the can explodes, and everyone gets shot with like hot embers. You know,
Sounds fun.
right? It's a really funny game.
Yeah.
And then you're generally far enough when it blows up
They don't know you did it.
that no, they'll know you did it, but you'll be far enough away if they start chasing after you
Mm-hmm.
that you can get away from them. But he got caught throwing it in one of them, I think, where
Uh-oh.
they were just like, "What are you doing, dude? Like that's stupid."
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't even know. But normally we do that. And I remember we used to always bring up beans camping
Mm-hmm.
just to blow up full cans of beans
Oh, yeah?
in the fire. Yeah. And we'd buy them. We'd buy that also, like, we'd buy hairspray
Mm-hmm.
and we'd blow up aerosol cans and shit like that. Like,
you guys fucked the ozone layer.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a vacation. And I remember one time we were teenagers and Jane came up with me, my wife, and she drove she had a piece of shit car, thank God, at the time. And I remember we woke up in the morning, we had packed the tent up, and there's just fucking beans all over her car. And like beer labels that are stuck all over like her car, like no respect at all,
No.
like for anyone's stuff. Just young and stupid, eh?
Mm-hmm.
But God, that's fun. Blowing stuff up is great because you get to put it in the fire and then you go hide behind something, and there's that moment of time where you're not sure if it's going to work,
Yeah.
and you start to give up hope on it. It's kind of like that time where you take an edible and it hasn't kicked in yet.
You're like, should I take more?
Yeah, should I take more? Should I put something more in? Like stoke the fire, and you
Yeah.
want to go mess with it, but then it blows up if you go to,
You
on
get
the
fucked
way
up
there.
by it. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get fucked up by it. That's just like if you take another one and then you end up getting just totally shit
Yeah.
canned because they both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same thing. Anyways, so we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about all those things, but we did our hour, and that's it. I
Yeah.
can't give you any more. Zoomers, no one's going to care about you, but you're going to do great things. I know you learned that in this episode. So if any of you are listening, go tell your little Zoomer friends and tell them to you know what? We should actually kiss their ass because they support things like Patreon because part of their lingo and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the ticket. No, I don't give a fuck. I like those kids because we're an ally. Gen X is an ally of the Zoomers because we are one of you. We are the forgotten and the generation that no one gives a shit about.
The creative, yeah.
We have to remember here, the enemies are the boomers and the millennials.
Yep.
Fuck those guys. Okay? Until next week, everybody. I want you to be kind to each other. And CUNT. See you next Thursday.